Good morning. Today, this Monday, the Parliament meets in Ottawa, and there has been a gap of 94 days since the Parliament met last. 94 days, 3 months and 4 days. And in these 3 months and 4 days, Liberal MPs, not all MPs, not NDP MPs, not Conservative MPs, but just Liberal MPs, issued 1,447 checks. Apparently, for the upliftment of infrastructure, for improving the facilities of life, for bettering the life of millions of Canadians. And 1,447 checks issued by only Liberal MPs amounted to $7.8 billion. Well, you must be happy that so much money has been spent to ensure that you have got a better life, that the infrastructure would be improved, that there will be better roads, better highways, more and cleaner water, cheaper hydro. Good dreams. And do you know where the money has been spent? Just imagine. It has been spent on uplifting hockey arenas, making rest houses on the beach, building flagpoles, gazebos, and so on. If we compare it to what happened during the Conservative period, it was 84 days between the meetings of the Parliament, and 457 checks were issued, amounting to $3 billion. Now 94 days against 400 odd checks is 1,447 checks. Against 3 billion, it is almost 8 billion. I do not condone what the Conservatives did. No way. I condemned it at that time. I condemn it today. But what is shocking is that the Liberal MPs, headed by Judy Sagro at that time, labelled this specially created Canada Fund Slush Fund. And one of the promises of Trudeau government, now Trudeau government, at that time the Liberal Party, was that as soon as they come in power, they will close down this fund, which is nothing but squandering of people's money. And did they abide by the promise? No. They very easily stepped in the shoes and undertook a promise and carried it out. And the promise was to themselves, and the promise was they will do better than their predecessors. They'll double the squander. They'll have a multiplier effect as far as the wastage of the public fund is concerned. And what they called slush fund, in their hand, the same slush fund, increasingly used, is called a beneficial spending for the people. Now, there is one thing which does cause me amusement. Normally when I see in each country, whether it's UK, Australia, India, that the MPs are given a certain amount of money which they are supposed to spend in their riding or constituency to promote the local needs and to rectify the local needs. Say you are living in Brampton and one road is not okay or one park is not okay, so the MP will spend that money out of that discretionary fund allotted to him. But here in Canada, funds are allotted only to the MPs of the ruling party, thereby creating an impression at the time of election that only the ruling party MPs were working for the good of the people. And do they work for the good of the people and do they work in the ridings? Again, no. The House leader, the new MP, Chaggar, this young girl, spent money not in her riding. She went to the riding of Tony Clement. Now, I have no love for Tony Clement. He is as bad a politician as anybody else can be. He built a gazebo at $80 million as well, which I condemned. But Chaggar violated all established norms, goes over there and starts spending money with a view to letting people know that Tony doesn't bother for them, but she bothers. And what does she do? She gives money for a picnic shelter. Wow. And like that, But the whole concept reeks of political opportunism, dishonesty, chicanery, and playing ducks and drakes with the public funds. I have nothing against picnic shelters. I have nothing against gazebos. I have nothing against hockey rinks. What I am against is misuse of funds. Now the local situation like rinks, picnic shelters are the responsibility of the municipalities, not of the federal government. And if MPs are supposed to nurse their constituencies and ridings as they call them, mayor, then there should be a sense of equity. If X amount of money is allotted to the members of the ruling party, the MPs from other parties should not be discriminated against. Now that's not discrimination against those MPs. It's a discrimination against the people who voted those MPs. This is actually a carrot being dangled. That look here, you are not getting this carrot because you voted for NDP or Conservative. Had you voted for Liberals, you would have got the money as well. So that is one bad thing. The second is what this MP Chaggar did, and she's a house leader, mind you, going into the riding of another MP, an opposition MP, who wants and who's contesting to be the leader of the party, and in case he wins, he'll be the leader of the opposition and prospective prime minister. So this is cutting at the roots of his campaign. Thirdly, the hypocrisy that marks this. The same party which called this Canada fund a slush fund is today using slush fund and using it with a vengeance. Now, if $8 billion spent in 94 days to satisfy the local needs, you can be sure that if the same amount is spent in the 4 years is $32 billion. And the deficit is expected to be $29 billion. Another issue, there is no audit of this fund. If there is no audit, it can be misused, and it is misused. Let's not deny it. So why not merge this fund in the local budget or provide it to the municipalities? Let them present their case, and if the cases are deserving, let them be given the fund. This way, maybe you'll spend less money and also provide people what they want and what they need. You see, there's another thing to be done. And that is, why should this money not be audited? In case this money is a part of the budget, then automatically it comes under the purview of the Auditor General. But the ruling people know that Auditor Generals here are very tough and very honest. They will not tolerate any nonsense. So the best thing is to keep this money separate. Let Canada Fund be a fund which is non-audited, so that it can be used or misused or abused as per the whims, wishes and caprice of the authorities that be. This fund raises the question of political opportunism, political honesty, accountability, hypocrisy and honest dealing, and also whether the promises of the politicians are to be believed or not. The party which promises that they will abolish a certain fund, which they call Slush fund, in 100 days of coming in power, do not abolish that, but misuse it, rather double the misuse of it. Can you take the promises of that party as real promises? Can you have any faith in that party? Can you believe that that party would be working for the good of the people? Unfortunately, in all the countries which profess to be democratic, the reality is that they are not democratic. It's a sort of oligarchy. Certain families, certain parties have built up their feudal fiefs, and these fiefs, their holdings, are ultimately creating a coterie of leaders who rule. So instead of one person as a time of monarchy, one person ruling, is a coterie of the people. And you will see the same people, basically, same families which are ruling. So how is it democracy? And the promises that are made to mislead people, to give a temporary feeling of hope. And when that hope is dashed to the ground, then disappointment results in. And that's the reason why democracy, which was revered to be and thought to be the best form of the government, is no longer thought to be so. People have become disenchanted with this system. And the disenchantment lies not only with the leaders, but the people themselves. They hardly ever learn. As the old saying is, you get a government you deserve. When you cannot discriminate between good and the bad, between what is useful and what's harmful, then you're going to suffer the way you are suffering. Then you're going to be fleeced. Your money is going to be misused. And you can cry, but your cry would not be regarded as a whimper that can be set right at the next election times. There is a need today for the Auditor General to audit every penny spent and to correlate that spending with the promises and the election manifesto. As a matter of fact, Election Canada should step into it and say, okay, you had made these promises, you are breaking these promises, so it's a breach of contract, which it is. Why should the political promises not be taken as a contract between the electorate and the elected? And if they breach this contract, they should be punished. At the same time, the Auditor General and the economic offences of RCMP should look into the spending and see whether it is in the interest of the people or is it motivated by factors other than the public good. Maybe these things, if they are implemented, might rectify the situation. I am saying might, but the situation as it stands today is absolutely non-acceptable, is absolutely not within the acceptability limits of the people. And you have got to think whether it's right or whether it's wrong. You have got to decide for yourself. Should you believe the promises or hold these parties and these MPs to be responsible for what they are doing, and also to explain the difference between what they preach and what they practice? Thank you.